Hey everybody, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a Wednesday Sip and Discuss episode. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Jenny. Hi Jenny.
Hey Becky.
And Amanda. Hi Amanda.
Hi, Becky.
And Lindsay. Hello Lindsay.
Hello.
We're back on YouTube, but we've actually had episodes dropping into the podcast feed for the last 10 days that we've been off. We had 3 author spotlights drop in all the chaos. So that was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I want to apologize for missing last Wednesday's episode and having to cancel it. Jenny and I are going to do a quick shot of romance on the book and talk about it, and it'll be over on Patreon, and it will be available to all of our Patreon subscribers, including our free tier, to make up that I had to reschedule.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Stuff does happen. Well,
Life
yeah.
happens.
You guys missed the best part of all of that. After I get off the episode, I think I told Jenny this. After I get off the episode, I go downstairs, see with my mom, decide we're taking her to the emergency room. She fell and came home at 7 o'clock. It was almost 10 before I took her to the hospital.
Oh.
She made herself dinner and had a couple glasses of wine before she told anybody that she fell.
Well, yeah, because she knew if she went to the hospital, they weren't going to let her have anything.
Oh my gosh.
So, never worry. She made sure to cover her bases.
Maybe she needed the 2 glasses of wine to tolerate the hospital experience.
Maybe.
Fair.
But you know, I was just like, okay, way to keep it real in. There we go. Okay, so we're back and we are starting our September episodes, which we pretty much decided the theme was close proximity.
Yeah, I
for
think
these.
so.
It was a bunch of books we really wanted to read.
Yeah, we just tried to figure out how to make them all fit.
How to make them all work. I think every episode is a new to us author. For most of them. Like, I've read Ashley Muniz, but I just found her this year.
Yeah, I don't think they were all new to me, I think.
I read Ashley Muniz like a year ago or 2. Like, there was that book everybody was hating on, and I was like, well, I'm going to read it because, like, usually I'll like it.
That's what Lindsay
Liked it. I was like, I need to find out why everybody really hates it. Is it really, like, up to snuff or not? And I liked it. I liked her.
Yeah, I've read the first 2 books in this motorcycle club that we have coming up, and I think the book we're reading is the 4th book.
3, I think it's book 3.
No, I think it's book
I can't
4. I
remember.
think it's the end of the series, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's
Doesn't
coming up.
matter.
But this week, this was one of my highly 2024 anticipated reads. I heard about this book last August, September, because it was originally going to be indie published, and as it was starting to make the ARC review rounds, Berkeley quickly bought it up. And so this was my, I was super, super excited to read this book. So,
I was too. You actually sent us the ARC so long ago that I, like, bought the audio to reread it.
yeah.
Because I forgot how it ended because it has been, I think, didn't you send us the ARC back in like March?
It was a long time ago, yeah.
It's been a minute.
A long time ago. Like I knew I liked it.
Because they pushed the date out because it released in the UK first.
Right.
And so I read it thinking it was going to release then. And then I had to go back and look. So yeah.
Oh, I forgot to pull it down, but Danielle, special shout out to Danielle because she's one of our UK listeners. And she lovingly sent me the UK book with the UK cover and the sprayed edges. And I don't know if you can see it between the deer and the blue stripe, but the sprayed edges look like the racetrack.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's so pretty.
I have one on the way.
Oh.
Oh.
Did you buy from Waterstone?
No, I joined like a buy sell trade group on Facebook specifically looking for this one because it was sold out and it's expensive to ship from the UK. So I think it was like $35.
There we go.
Including So I'm
Nice.
happy.
It's a
on
beautiful
the
book. I am sitting with
Mhm.
my sprayed edges out. I am now that person.
I feel like you should have pulled it down to show like the little. There's so many cute little details in it. I
There
had to
is.
have
I
it.
feel bad, and I would stand up, but I'm wearing shorts, and I'm afraid you guys would see more than you really wanted to see a Becky tonight. Like,
Honestly, the book is so cute. It
it's
might be worth it.
it's not. It's not honest. My cellulite should stay under the desk.
It's got so like the thing that I thought was so cute is like on the interior cover, it's got so it's the after you got the Afterlight edition, right? With the sprayed edges where it's the racetrack.
No, this was just the UK in the bookstore edition.
Oh,
Paperback, right?
Paperback, yeah.
okay. No, I got the Afterlight edition that has like the cute little it's got like the cute little Instagram posts on
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
about like,
Um,
anyway, I'm
nice.
such a sucker. I don't always buy books, but when I do, I like want the really, really nice ones.
Lindsay has expensive taste.
Lindsay does have expensive taste. We did
But I
learn that.
don't have a lot of books, so it's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah, I can't say that.
I really can't say that either. We had to do some house stuff and we took books off the shelf and they're piled everywhere and I'm like, there's a lot of books here. Anyway, so like I said, tonight we're talking about Cross the Line by Simone Soltani. So stick with us while we break down the enchanting details. Who wants to list all the things? Who's going?
I'll do it. Brother's Best Friend, my favorite.
Okay,
Oh,
wait,
wait.
what's the release date?
The release date is July 23rd, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So the tropes are Brother's Best Friend. I love that one. Childhood friends, close proximity, racing romance. He's a F1 racer, and slow burn. It is a real slow burn.
And then some.
I knew as I was reading this, I was like,
Yeah.
Becky's gotta be ticked.
We'll get to it. Okay, what's next? What's next, Lindsay?
So the series name, it's the Lights Out series. This is a standalone debut. The point of view is dual first person. The put out percentage is 71%. It is a long, thick book. Third act breakup, no. Audio narrators, if you did the audio book, I did that. And I read it eyeballs. So it's Vicus Adam and Narissa Bradley. The audio is really good. And then content warning, the heroine has a chronic illness. Where is it available? Everywhere. It's published via Berkeley.
Okay, so I want to talk about the audiobook before we get into the meat of this book. I also did the audiobook. I borrowed it from my library. Shout out to my library. Okay. I loved the female narrator. Narissa Bradley, she did a great job because our heroine is biracial. Vicus Adams, who did what's his name? Dev. Right? Dev?
Yes. Dev.
He was not so great. Because to be honest, to hear the two of them pronounce his name, it's Dave. Dev. Dav. Like not D-E-V. D-A-V is how, like, I had to go in and physically look at my book to make sure the name wasn't Dave.
Yeah. I listened to it at one point. I listened to it sped up, so it didn't. He talked very slow. I never listened to audiobooks sped up. And this one I listened to, I think, at like 1.5, and it was very comfortable.
Yeah, I think I was 1.65. It was the
This is the only audiobook I've ever listened to sped up.
the cadence
Wow.
was just really slow.
That's how slow it was. I am very much like, I need them to talk slow so I understand what's happening. I get very mad when they sound like they're speaking like alien language because how do people understand when it's like that blurred together? No, like 1.5 is normal pace
For this book, for sure.
for this book.
Okay, so I will tell you, book 2 in this series is due out next May, and it's called Ride With Me.
Oh yeah, I saw
Do,
that.
do we know who this book is?
Stella Baldwin thought her life couldn't get worse. Being left at the altar was bad enough, and the drunken rant she posted on her social media followers in the aftermath was the cherry on top. Thomas Maxwell Brown is her hero. Thomas,
Another racer,
another
right?
racer. Yeah, I
Yep.
think he was on
And
the.
she's one of the roommates,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. So it looks like it's going to be her friend group. You would say, right? Uh, what's her name? Oh my God, I forgot her name.
Willow.
Willow's
Yes.
friend group, probably. Which,
Yeah,
weird if
I
they.
want
because
to
she has
say
like 2 roommates, so it's probably those 2 to start
those
with, and then
she has one roommate, and then her other friend is like in Hong Kong.
oh, that's right. Okay.
I thought they were 2 roommates, and one of the roommates went to Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's what Jenny
Yeah.
just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Chronic illness rep. How did we feel about this? Do we think it was well done? Did it make sense? I sometimes think she forgot about that the character was supposed to have a chronic illness. It felt like it was convenient sometimes.
Well, as a person that like has a hypermobility, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is in that like spectrum of disorders. I would say it's pretty well done because it's not something that like you see all the time. Like other people aren't going to be aware of it. But it does affect like your shoe choices or like she takes like a lot of inflammatory
Yeah.
like medication and stuff like that. I thought it was fairly well done because it wasn't like front and center all the time. It's not always
Well, and that's
something you're
kind of what
thinking
I
about.
mean. It felt convenient sometimes, like it would brought in because she didn't know what else to do at that point in the story.
Okay, yeah.
Like it was like, oh wait, I kind of wrote myself into a corner. How am I going to get out of this corner? Oh, it could be a health issue.
And I definitely thought that like Willow would be more fatigued than she is like throughout.
Well,
She's also 22, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and traveling through the time zones. There wasn't a lot of focus on jet lag. I mean, I'm not really a time zone traveler. You know,
I think it just becomes a number then. Like you're not you have no concept of time. It's just
you sleep and wake up.
right, yeah. It's like made up thing to know when to meet people.
Okay. So Amanda, what were your thoughts on Willow as a character? Let's talk about her first, and then we can talk about Dave, whatever you want to call him.
I liked her. I don't know. I really liked both of them. Like character, just kind of like being at that age in their life, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do, and it seemed kind of like on point for being, out of school looking for a job. I liked her relationship with her friends. I liked her relationship with her family. Like I didn't have any real hangups about her. I liked her overall.
And you read a lot of plus size romances. She's not plus size. She's curvy, right? Wouldn't you say? Like she's probably a size 12, 14?
Yeah, yeah, she didn't read like plus size.
Well, early on, they talk about like her thighs and her thick butt.
Yeah.
And then it's never really kind of brought up again.
Yeah, and she's like flat chested.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also she's like Lindsay said, she's 22. Like you can get away with a lot more with a 22-year-old body than
And
Yeah.
and it's an illustrated cover, and I know it's not going to be exact, but do you feel that the cover projects her body as a character?
I don't know. I'm Googling it.
I was like, I have to think. Like
Yeah, I
she's
mean
very
her legs look very, just like
Her
not
legs-
they're I wouldn't describe those as thick legs.
No.
got a thigh gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I love the cover though. I mean, it's a Lenny cover, so I do love it, but
I have it and I will keep
yeah.
buying it. Like I'm in. But it was just something I thought about. You know, as you're listening to the audiobook, you kind of start to visualize these things and you look at the cover and then you're like,
Yeah, no, I
fit.
get that. But like you said though, they kind of bring it up a little bit in the beginning and then I don't really remember them talking about it too much after. But again, like I read this book, it was a little while ago, so I had to go back and kind of refresh it. So I didn't do a complete
That's
reread,
okay.
but
Um, Jenny, what are your thoughts on Willow?
Um, I think she's age appropriate. Like she's definitely got some of that like young, naive, like not sure how the world works. I mean, she's had some issues in the past with like her brother's friend group and dating people in there, but it doesn't seem like she's like fully let herself live yet.
Yeah,
So she's kind of trying to find her footing.
yeah. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on Miss Willow?
I liked Willow. So she's a college grad. She's like freshly graduated when this book happens. She has gone to school for sports marketing. She wants to join the world of sports. She is a sports fanatic. She has not been able to play sports because of her hypermobility. So she's just like crazy about sports. And she's in a situation where she's looking for a job when her brother invites her to Monaco.
Mono-
Monaco.
Monaco,
Monaco.
Monaco, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, so I really thought like how they portrayed her in the beginning and then like how she just kind of immerses herself in the Formula One world. Like she finds a mission, she's like very driven, highly motivated, and then like she's in a situation where I think part of the slow burn came into play because she's like putting her career and the idea of helping him ahead of her feelings, which given her background with her brother's friend makes sense. So I thought Willow was really well written. I don't think every 22-year-old is like Willow. But I would also say like she comes from a very privileged background and I do think that is included in her storyline frequently. Like she acknowledges like she doesn't have student loan debt, like she's in a very unique situation. Like her parents like have her back because they're very wealthy, they're very well off. Like her brother was in formula like he was in the kart racing up until he decided not to pursue professional sports. So like she's got a very privileged background and I think you do see that in her perspective quite a lot.
Yeah. I didn't mind Willow. I thought that, like, I think she's very straightforward for the most part. Like, I think she confronts things head on unless it's her brother.
Yeah.
Because there was that secretness, this dance of we can't tell him. I need him to think I'm serious. And I liked her straightforwardness. And in dealing with the people of the race world, I think she did a great job, especially being young and a woman of color. I feel like she's portrayed really strongly in that situation as someone with forward momentum. Her character arc, I don't I don't know that she grew as a character. I think she helped Dev grow as a character.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that she kind of, without having to help him move and find his footing to his maturity and realizing that he can go to a different team and be better than he's currently being treated, I feel like she's written in a way that builds him up and we don't get this huge character growth for her.
I think that's fair.
So let's talk about Dev because in this book, he has the most character growth between the two of them. But I don't like in the beginning, he comes off as a fuckboy. And a playboy. Like, I mean, he's very selfish, very self-centered, but I think to be a top elite athlete, Lindsay, don't you think we need that to see that?
Okay, we have to talk about how we meet him. He's at a party, and the first thing we learn about him is that everyone at this party thinks he has an STD because of the prank
Yeah.
his social media manager played on him on the way out of Australia, where he abandons her after firing her in Australia. Like, he abandons her on this continent, like a totally different continent, and cancels her flight. So he deserved that a little bit. But yeah, I think I don't think like his bad boy image made a lot of sense with the way that he was written. I don't think I mean, they allude to a lot of him like being very promiscuous, being with like all these girls, and then like you find out more about him, and he's in the middle, like beyond his PR nightmare from his former social media manager, like he's actually got nothing under control. Like his racing team is sabotaging him, preventing him from being able to like achieve his potential in his field of choice. That's very frustrating. Like there's a lot of things where there's just not really anybody on his side until he hires Willow.
Yeah.
And I think like the way he's written, the character development does make sense. But you don't get a lot of like depth with him either. You just get kind of like a stereotypical F1 book hero, which we talked about in our last like hour long.
Amanda, what are your thoughts on Dev?
I didn't mind him. I do feel like the whole Playboy image was a little like out of character because he's obviously had feelings for Willow for a little while and then he's like completely obsessed with her. So it's a little that was a little out of character for me, but I didn't mind him. I do think you have to have a level of, you know, ego to play or participate in a professional sport like that. So that's never like that never bothers me really with a professional like sports
the ego
person.
It doesn't bother me. I just felt like we had it really strong in the beginning.
Yeah, and then it backs off.
And then where'd it go? And this is when I'm saying, like, so this book was really fluff. And I think that this is where it comes into, this is a debut. Because he reads very basic. But had she leaned into the Playboy for show aspect that we see a lot in romances, but then we saw the soft, squishy golden retriever underneath with that mutual pining, which, Jenny, you're a huge fan of mutual pining.
Well, as you're talking, I'm like, he's like a Sour Patch Kid.
He is, but don't you think if she had kind of blown that up and exploded that, like a extra large Sour Patch Kid, that it would have added some character depth for him?
I like, did you read the epilogue?
Yes, because I had the audiobook. I always listen to the end of audiobooks.
Okay, so I would have liked seeing the epilogue like in the story.
Well, it's the only time there's a crash.
Yeah. I think that could have been used like to
earlier on,
propel both of them. Like, yeah.
I thought the prologue had a crash.
No, he kind of spins out a little bit in his race, but he doesn't crash, I don't think.
Yeah, because he has to total the car, but that was like because he was like concerned about what Oakley would think.
The points and stuff, that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on the brother in this book? Because one of the things that we often agree on with brother's best friend is sometimes the overprotective brother stuff is too overprotective.
I mean, he wasn't there. Like, I don't know.
And I think he had a right to blow up in the end. When you say, man, like in the end, when he has his big moment, they'd been keeping it a secret.
Yeah, I mean, and I was pleasantly surprised that he was mad at them more for the secret part than he was about them getting together. I mean, and she has a history with one of his friends. So, you know, I can understand why they didn't want to tell him. And I can also understand why he's very upset about it. And why he's, you know, kind of a little overbearing with her because, you know, she already had one of his friends kind of, I don't know, break her heart or, you know, put her in a bad situation, however you want to say it. But yeah, I didn't think he was too over the top.
Um, so what about the storyline? Jenny, I'm going to give you this one. That Dev's supposed to be this amazing racer, but it's the team that's causing him not to excel. That it's the team holding him back. Do you feel that added to his character arc? Did it show that he was a fighter? Or did it feel just kind of tepid? Like, okay,
Well,
whatever.
I think it's very realistic for a racing situation. As I divulged in the racing episode, like I was a huge race car fan for quite a while. And like what engine you're running, what car you're running, like that is very important to how you perform. Um, I don't think it would happen quite the way it did for him. And like the moment where he like gets called in just because he's like ahead of the Nathaniel
Yeah, the
or
son,
whatever.
the owner's son.
Like, yeah, I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I would have liked to see him push more.
Yeah. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, she's the one who motivated him to actually do anything about it. Like Willow's the one who motivated him. He was kind of in a situation where he was like there's the scenes where he was working, like talking to Reed, like, are you gonna join my racing team? Like, let me know what's going on here. And Reed's like, no, I'm not gonna take your spot. And then he's being sabotaged by the team, and he's more worried about like getting bumped from the team than actually doing anything about it. And she's the one who's like, let's figure this out. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a good place for you to be. And I don't know. I just think like as an F1 racer, I feel like the adrenaline alone would have him throwing wrenches in the cockpit after like being told to back down. Like as an F1 racer in the middle of the race, like when somebody's not telling you a reason for your car being broken and telling you to like literally scratch yourself from finishing a race, like wouldn't you push back like more aggressively? Like wouldn't you be like, no, until you tell me what's going on, I'm not coming into the pits. Like
Yeah.
I felt like there were some situations there where his behavior didn't really make sense for the kind of
Level of
persona.
racer.
Like the kind of like there was a lot of things that he did that were at odds with his competitive nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like Lindsay said, like race car drivers, they throw hissy fits. Like they aren't just gonna like
Oh.
pull in the pits and get out of the car. Like
No, that's what I'm saying. Like he would be so livid in that scene. He would have been like in the cockpit throwing wrenches, like especially after his top engineer comes and says nothing was wrong with the car. Like he would
Yeah.
have been so hopped up on adrenaline, he would have gone nuts. Like that's just the reality of that job. And he was like so calm. Like he
Yeah.
was in the line at Starbucks waiting for his coffee, and it was an inconvenient wait. I don't know. But then I will say, like, you did see that competitive nature when he got his first win, where he had that like very aggressive approach. He was like, put the slick tires on. I'm going. I don't care if it's wet. I don't care if I spin out. Like, let's go. He was like, I have nothing to lose. I want to win. Like, this is my shot. And then he did, and it paid out. And like that's when you start to see him taking more risks for himself. But like he's just not like considering how competitive he is allegedly, like there just wasn't a lot of motivation early on in the book until like Willow comes along and is like, don't you want to win? Like, why aren't you doing anything about this?
So one of the things that, and I think this is a debut issue, and this is something I know, Amanda, it doesn't usually bug you too much. These pages felt crowded with a lot of characters mentioned that didn't really hold a lot of significance to the story. And they would just randomly appear out of nowhere. And it was jarring at times. And it felt a little like that S.L. Scott book we read where, like, all of a sudden we're in the living room, but we were in the car a paragraph ago.
Oh, so funny story is I read those back to back.
Oh,
I read this one and then I read the other one. So when we did like the sip and discuss for the other one, I was like, I can't talk about this one. And I was trying to remember which one, what happened in which one. But yeah, so But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of characters. I didn't, like you said, I don't typically really mind it, and it didn't bother me in this one so much. But I didn't really feel like we went from, like Florida to,
Right.
California in a blink of an eye or anything.
No,
So
no.
I did like make a note that because I was like, who the heck is Shaba? Like he just like I'm like I'm like flipping back and I'm like I like word wise his name I'm like nope he just
just
he's
appeared.
suddenly there.
It's just there all of a sudden. Um, so for this book, I felt like we had 3 books or 3 pacing departments. I feel like we got that first 25 where, and they made their kiss sound like it was this drunken kiss, but it wasn't. It was intentional for both of them, that first kiss.
Yeah.
Then we had this middle part that was kind of trudgy, kind of slow. Like, we say slow burn, but there wasn't even any tension. It just felt like we were figuring out how to move in each other's space. And then we hit that 70% part where they sleep together and he says he loves her. Like, as soon as they're done sleeping together, he's like, I love you.
Like during.
But they weren't even really friends at that point or defined as friends. But then, like, I felt like the last 25% of the book was a whole nother story with, like, that was where the flirting and the tension and the pacing picked up for this book.
Yeah, it definitely like it moved and like everything happened in the last like 25%, I think.
Yeah.
Like all of the things happened in the last 25%.
Which is frustrating, but again, it's a debut. So
Yeah.
you have to hope that as Simone Soltani continues to write, that pacing will pick up, that she'll learn to kind of pull out that ending stuff and sprinkle it more throughout the book.
So I read on her bio that this is her debut solo, but she was actually a ghostwriter for a serialized fiction platform.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means.
Probably a
What does that mean?
Wattpad serial.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I meant to ask you that before and I forgot.
That's okay.
I also think the pacing's probably a reflective of like if she got picked up after the book was written when the arc was making rounds, it probably didn't go through a second round of edits. She probably just did the indie edit process and then they were like, it's been getting such good reviews in the arc process, we'll buy it as is.
Yeah.
We don't have to do anything but market it. And that's probably another factor is like it probably did not get
It probably
the
had
round edits that Trad Pub typically does.
It probably had an acquisitions editor read it. There might have been a sub editor that read it, made some, small tweaks, but nobody would have changed the content because those original arcs were still floating out there. So you don't want someone who read the first arc to pick it up and be like, well, this, and this all changed. You don't want to have that. So there's an editing queue that kind of has to hit. But now that you say that she was a serial writer on a subscription type platform, the way that she wrote this book makes sense.
Okay.
Because if you read like a Wattpad story or a Kendall Vela story, lots of characters will be introduced because then you can have spin-off markets. If we look at like the auction that Audrey Carlin wrote, it's like actually a book of 4 or 5 different couples and their stories all mashed into one book because it came out of serial writing.
Okay.
Because you write in episodes. And so you want to leave it at a situation so it's kind of flatline, high peak of interest, so that, and that's where you stop it, is at the top of the peak. And then because you want to bring them back in to buy the next subscription. Like,
that makes sense.
To pay the coins and buy the next story. And usually in those subscription books, the last 80% will have all the action because you got to wrap up everything because you don't want to make more episodes. So that makes sense. That's how that would make sense of how the beats carry through her book.
Okay.
One of the things I will give her credit for, though, in this book, There were not plot holes.
I'm pretty sure that's why I really liked it.
There was no plot holes. There wasn't like any other than I mean, there were the random characters that showed up that I was like, oh, where did this guy come from? I think that's debut. But like we look at
Yeah.
a book like Elsie Silver writes and she writes parents, but then they never show up or come to visit. Like they're so important in her life, they don't show up. We got those people. We got the important story pieces. Yes, Lindsay.
Like the random characters showing up, I didn't have a problem with that in this book. I did, however, think about it in a different way where it raised a problem for me with rock star romances because like you're in these environments where you're moving a whole production. There are so many people involved in these productions where you're literally moving your whole workspace country to country around the world every week or so. And I was like, I thought like from that perspective, like you see like the characters and who they're interacting with, but like in rockstar romances, so often they're only associating with their manager or like their PR person. And it was like, there's all these other people behind the scenes. They just don't talk to anybody.
Some of them.
So like for me, like I didn't actually have a problem here, but it raised like an interesting perspective for me because like I think this is a similar kind of genre to Rockstar when they're in season moving around.
Yeah.
But they don't ever bring in that many characters in Rockstar romances. Like I can't think of a single one where they introduce you to anybody like beyond the band and the people the band has immediate relationships with. So like very main characters to the series.
Right.
So I like for me, I mean, we'll see how it goes down the line here. It could be like a Wattpad thing, but it also, I kind of thought it was realistic from the sense that like there's 10,000 people in these pits at any given time. Like they bring a whole, they've probably got like a solid 30 people just for the pit crew
Yeah.
and the engineering team and the people in the
Mechanics
booth.
and testing and
mean,
strategists.
So there's like a
All
lot
wearing the
there.
ugly uniform.
Anyway, so like I thought about it very differently.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And I have always said before that I think sports romance are the palatable rockstar romances because it's kind of the same microscopic view of a world under the microscope of a spotlight and how they move within the world. I just don't think people like rockstar romances and they're dumb for not liking them because I love them. Okay, so let's do our. Do anyone have anything else they wanted to say about this book before we go to our next part?
I really like the wedding scenes and like his mom meddling. Like I really like that part. So
I thought
we don't have
his
to talk
mom
about it,
was
but I just
great.
want to say I like it.
No, you can talk about it. It's fine.
I just thought it was a lot of fun.
I liked the parents. I thought the parents were really great. Her dad was really great.
Yeah, her dad was super cute.
Okay, so here we go. We're gonna do our thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll start with Lindsay. Lindsay, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. And my favorite part of this whole thing is that Jenny termed him a Sour Patch Kid hero. Like that is my new favorite thing.
It's your new thing. Okay. Amanda, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'll say thumbs up because I really liked them both as characters. Like I felt like it was a little slow in the middle or whatever, but there was a lot going on in the end, enough so that I'm interested in reading the next book. So
Yeah.
I'll say thumbs up.
Jenny, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. I would say it's an easy read and it was easy to like pick up and put down without having to like remember where I was, if that makes sense.
I think for a debut, it's good. It's solidly written, no plot holes. I'll give it a thumbs up. Did it meet the mark of my anticipated read? No, it was kind of a letdown. I had kind of higher expectations for it. But if I look at it through the lens of this is a debut, I will read this author again. And I think there's some potential for some great stories. So there is that. Okay. So if you liked Cross the Line, what other books do you think people might also enjoy? Does anybody have any? I have a few.
I wrote a note.
Okay, Lindsay, go first.
I wrote any of the books on the shelves at Target.
Lindsay,
And I don't mean that in a bad way,
I know, but it's true.
but I don't mean it in a
fits.
great way either. And I say that because like there's a lot of books out there now that are getting shelf time in bookstores that like don't have the best plots or the best writing. They're just like hot from book talk. And I think this book will be very hot on book talk. And I think it is good. I think it is worth a read. But honestly, like if this is something you just really loved, like honestly, go to Target and buy a bunch of books. Like you'll have a grand old time.
okay, so I have If You Want Me by Helena Hunting. It deals kind of a little bit with the secret relationship, the mutual pining. It is the book 2 in her Toronto Terror series. It is Dad's best friend age gap romance. But there isn't a power dynamic. So if power dynamic often bothers you, this book does not have the power dynamic. They're pretty equal in footing. Light 'Em Up by Kelly Jameson. Again, kind of secret relationship, sports. It was her offering to the Bang Brothers series. If It's Only Love by Lexi Ryan. Again, secret relationship. Brother's best friend. Make Me Hate You by Candy Steiner. This one is angsty. It might not be for you. He's technically on the cusp of being engaged to somebody else and has an affair with his sister's best friend. Everyone's shaking their head. It's actually a really great story. I really did enjoy it. But again, tension and angst. They're also young and stupid. Like they're just graduated college, both of them. Trust by Jana Aston. Again, best friend's brother. When the Time Is Right by M. Maybe and Ali Martinez. Secret relationship, mutual pining, but be prepared for the Kleenexes on that book if you haven't read it. If you haven't read it and you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, WTF. What the hell is wrong with you people? Like Rena Morgan, Lexi Ryan, and this book by Mo Maybe and Ali Martinez. Like, seriously, I will push you down the stairs at this point. Like, you are voted off the island. Shark-infested waters.
What kind of aggression Dev needed?
What?
That's the kind of aggression Dev needed.
It is the kind of aggression Dev needed. Make Me Yours by Melanie Harlow is another one that would work. Have you not read that one yet? When the Time Is Right, Jenny?
Read it.
Okay.
I haven't.
I'm afraid of people being pushed down the stairs.
No, there was another one she threatened me with like not that long ago, so I'm in danger.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
I know. I've got to get out. I've got to get off my.
But you've read
Rena
Rena Morgan, so you kind of are okay. Like that's like having immunity or the power of veto.
Okay.
Like you're slightly safe right now because you've read Rena.
Right. Yeah, and I read them all, and we did multiple episodes, and I've wrecked it a million times, so I feel like I should be safe.
Also, just FYI, just for Amanda, today I learned that Until Bax has a release date. By
I saw that. I'm
Reynolds
so excited.
coming. Lindsay has the best one-liners. That's from Stacy.
What?
Stacy, you should leave that in a review on the podcast app. Wherever you get your podcast, leave that. You do. If you liked this book, just go to Target. Like,
she's not wrong.
She's not wrong, but it was a little salty.
I mean, there's so many options, and those books need a good home too.
They do.
And they do have pretty covers.
They do.
That's
Unless
true.
it's dirty smudges that you spent 20 minutes trying to wipe and clean off with rubbing alcohol today. We're not talking about that though, right?
No.
Nope, we are not.
For those listening,
Line
we're
does
talking
not
about
have
the new
dirty-
Elsie Silver cover, her orange book, Wild Eyes. It has black smudges at the bottom of it and dirt down the spine. And I honestly thought it was like printer ink that got on it. And so I was taking rubbing alcohol to get rid of it today. So,
When I found out that that was real
rubbing alcohol.
and intentional, I was like, imagine the design conversation. Like, I want it to be monochrome bright, but like add smudges to it to make it like bright and rustic.
I think it's a mistake. So I think the entire first print run is pre-printed And I think ink got on the covers and they had to leave it and make it, they might have had to do something to make it set as the covers were printed before they would have gotten the matte finish. I think it would have been too pricey to rerun those covers.
You think like on the first book too? Because it's on the first book too.
The black stuff is on the first book?
Yeah, it's not as dark, but like, so I went back and looked at a
I didn't
picture
look at
because when I
that.
got mine, I tried to wipe the first one off. And
I didn't know
I was
that.
texting with somebody and somebody was like, because it came from Target in one of those like cardboard like fold over things. And I was like, oh no, it's got stuff all over it. And I went back and looked after we had this conversation earlier, and I have a text message with somebody else talking about the first one because it's on my
So
first
I
one
didn't
too.
notice
It's not
that.
as dark.
Because so my bot came, I ordered the Walmart special edition because it had the character art in it. And so I ordered 2 copies from Walmart. One was in case, like, I have a set and then a set I'm collecting to sell. Because to be honest, the Mountain Spine for the first book is gone and out of stores. You cannot find it anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm collecting series to, because I need to make cash. So I'll resell it at some point. But mine came in a Walmart box, and the bottom of the Walmart box had like mud and gunk on it. And I really thought that the mess on it was like somehow gotten through the box from Walmart.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it just looks dirty. It doesn't look nice.
Yeah, like I thought my first one was dirty. It's not as dark as the second one, but the first one is like my first one looks the same. And I thought it was like from the box.
Nice. Jenny, did you pick up a copy at Walmart?
I have not picked up a copy yet, but yeah, I'm just kind of confused. Like, yes, please make this look like it came out of a kid's book bag.
Like, is there like I don't know, because I haven't read it. So, I mean, is there like a scene where something gets like dirty or
I read the
somebody?
first book. No.
Okay.
My thought on the second book, I actually asked somebody I was talking to, I'm like, is he a mechanic? She's like,
Well,
no,
the
he's a
first
billionaire
book-
at single day.
The first book, there is the scene where they spill the paint in his office.
But it's not
They're
black.
doing it in his office and they spill the paint and it's not
Yeah.
black, but they do leave it like stained on the floor permanently as like an inside joke between them anyway. I don't know. I haven't read this one yet. I did get a copy, but I will say I did not get any of these like special edition copies because I want my copies to freaking match. And like they put a
Wait.
review note on the front
That
published on the book, like special edition illustrations inside. And it's like, nope, I don't want that. I do not want that special printed note on my book. So I'm going to be really mad if my Amazon copy advertises the Walmart special edition note.
I didn't
didn't
think
want
about that.
I don't think it does. I think Walmart's the only one that has that.
Special
Thing on it.
edition. And that's the only
Yeah.
way to get the character art was to get the Walmart edition.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't do it because I was like, I don't want to special edition order those, even though like I think Walmart is the cheapest that it is
They
anywhere.
are.
But I didn't want that because I was like, now I have this one-off book. And I was like, I feel like I'd need 2 copies of this book, and I don't want 2 copies.
Don't make me go
I
buy
want
the
to
Amazon copy now.
I just want to
Lindsay.
match the copy Becky sent me.
I was gonna say, I know you have a
That
pink
was
copy.
a whole story in and of itself. Do you remember
Yes,
that?
because you were on drugs from your surgery.
I was, and I thought you were talking about the illustrated covers for like Out of the Gate being sold out. So I ordered 2 of each of that whole series. And then I was like, oh, you meant this book. And I was like, I totally forgot that had a special edition. So you totally saved me there. Anyway,
we are off topic and on another road. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out for tonight's episode. Make sure you join us on Sunday, where I will be joined by special guest Carla. Carla is reading, and she spends her entire life on social media that she does on social media doing nothing but building up Latinx romance authors. So she's coming on to hang out with me, and we're going to talk to Natalie Kenya and Angelina M. Lopez and celebrate a little bit of Latin Heritage Month, but also all those amazing Latinx stories that are out there. And there's some great ones. Also, any chance to talk to Natalie Kenya. And I got an advance copy of Angelina M. Lopez's short stories that comes out next week.
Oh, did you? I pre-ordered it, but I haven't.
She has a
didn't get the advance
collection
copy.
of
I'm
short
excited.
stories. You guys, You guys, so good.
Yeah.
And then we're back next Wednesday to discuss The Truth According to Ember by Danica Nava. I messaged her and asked for a voice memo on how to say it, so I say it right. It's Nava. Anyway, so I don't butcher everybody's name. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.